June 11, Prologue of Ochrid. The Holy Apostle Bartholomew. Bartholomew was one of the 12 great apostles. From all appearances, Bartholomew and Nathanael are one and the same person. Together with the Apostle Philip and Philip's sister, the Virgin Mariamna, and for a time with Saint John the theologian, Bartholomew preached the gospel first throughout Asia, then in India, and finally in Armenia, where he died a martyr's death. In Hierapolis, these holy apostles by prayer caused the death of a large serpent that the heathens kept in their temple and worship. In this same city, by prayer, they destroyed a sight to Stachys, who had been blind for 40 years. It was here that a mob rose up against them and crucified Philip and Bartholomew. Bartholomew was crucified upside down. At this time, there occurred an earthquake in which the evil judges and many people perished. Believing that this was a punishment from God, many ran to remove the apostles from the crosses, but Philip was already dead, although Bartholomew was still alive. After this, Bartholomew went to India, where he preached and translated the Gospel of St. Matthew into the Indian language. Then he entered Armenia, where he cured the king's daughter of sanity. But the envious brother of King Astyages seized God's apostles, crucified him on a cross, skinned him, and finally beheaded him in Armenian Albanopolis. Christians honorably buried his body in a lead coffin. Because many miracles occurred over his relics, the pagans took the coffin and cast it into the sea, but the water carried the coffin to the island of Lipara, where Bishop Agathon, through a revelation in a dream, met it and buried it in the church. Saint Bartholomew, attired in a white garment, appeared in church to the Venerable Joseph, the hymnographer, and blessed him with the gospel, that he might be able to sing spiritual hymns, saying, let heavenly waters of wisdom flow from your tongue. He also appeared to Emperor Anastasius 491 to 518 and told him that he would protect the newly established town of Dara. Later, the relics of this great apostle were translated to Benevento and then to Rome. Great and awesome miracles have occurred over these relics. Saint Barnabas the Apostle. Barnabas was one of the 70 apostles. He was born in Cyprus of wealthy parents from the tribe of Levi, and studied together with Saul under Gamaliel. At first he was called Joseph, but the apostles called him Barnabas, son of consolation, because he was exceptionally capable of comforting people's souls. After Saul's conversion, Barnabas was the first to introduce him to the apostles. Barnabas later preached the gospel and with Paul and Mark in Antioch and in other places. In all probability, he was the first to preach in Rome and Milan. He suffered in the island of Cyprus at the hands of the Jews, and he was buried by Mark beyond the western gate of the town of Salamis. On his chest there was placed a copy of the Gospel of St. Matthew, which he had copied with his own hand. His grave remained unknown for several hundred years, but since many received healing from sickness at this place, it was called the place of healing. In the time of Emperor Zeno and the Council of Chalcedon, 451, the apostle appeared in a dream to Archbishop Anthemios of Cyprus on 3 successive nights and revealed to him the location of his grave. This appearance of the apostles occurred exactly at the time when Peter, the power-hungry patriarch of Antioch, was seeking to bring the church in Cyprus under the jurisdiction of the throne of Antioch. After the appearance and discovery of the miraculous relics of the holy apostles Barnabas, it was established that the church in Cyprus, as an apostolic church, should always be independent. Thus, the autocephaly of the church in Cyprus was established. Commemoration of the holy icon of the Theotokos, Action Istin. It is truly met, and the miracle that occurred before it during the reign of Patriarch Nicholas Chrysoverges, 983 to 996. The miracle consists in this. One night a monk was reading the canon to the Mother of God and was singing, more honorable than the cherubim, in his cell in the monastery of the Pantocrator, now called Action Istin. After the icon, his elder had gone to Carius. Suddenly a man appeared in church and began to sing, "It is truly meet." Until then, that hymn had been unknown in the church. Upon hearing this hymn, the monk became enraptured, as much by its contents as by the beautiful heavenly singing. Among us we sing it in this manner, said the stranger to the monk. The monk wanted to have this hymn written down, and brought a stone tablet on which the stranger wrote the hymn with his finger as though upon wax. Suddenly he vanished. This stranger was the Archangel Gabriel. The tablet was taken to Constantinople, and the hymn has endured in the church even to this day. Hymn of praise, it is truly meet. A monk alone at night in church, with fervent prayer dispelled the darkness from his soul. All at once another monk arrived, nothing unusual about him, and like an experienced chanter began to sing. Then the first monk began, more honorable, glorifying the Mother of God, the Mother most glorious. About this hymn of praise the miraculous guest spoke to him. "Among us," said he, "we sing this hymn differently. We do not begin it as you do, but rather with 'It is truly meet, Venerable Father." And he recited the entire hymn, "It is truly meet." The first monk tried not to miss a word. "O my virtuous brother, now I breathe easier. Allow me to copy your hymn." But he had no paper or even a pencil. The church is a place for prayer and not for writing. Then the midnight guest made the sign of the cross over the church, and on a stone he began to write with his finger. He wrote on the stone as on of soft wax. At this man the monk was amazed. "Who are you?" the monk asked the unusual guest. "My name is Gabriel. For you that should be enough." As straightway he disappeared. With great fear the monk recognized the archangel under the monastic robe. That which he wrote no one erased. With heavenly fragrance the church was filled. Reflection. A true friend prays to God for his friend. A true friend is concerned for the salvation of the soul of his friend. To dissuade a friend from false path, and to direct him on the path of truth, that is precious friendship. The saints of God are mankind's greatest friends. Two youths, Barnabas and Paul, were friends while they were together attending the school of Gamaliel. When Barnabas became a Christian, he persistently and tearfully prayed to God that he would also enlighten Paul's mind and turn his heart in order that he might become a Christian. Barnabas often spoke to Paul about Christ the Lord, but Paul ridiculed him and considered him as one led astray. However, the good Lord did not leave the prayers of Barnabas without fruit. The good Lord appeared to Paul and turned him from the path of falsehood to the path of truth. The converted Paul then fell before the feet of his friend and cried out, O Barnabas, teacher of truth, I am now convinced that everything you said to me about Christ is the truth. Barnabas wept with joy and embraced his friend. The friend saved the soul of his friend by his fervent prayer. If Barnabas had succeeded in establishing Paul as emperor of Rome, he would have done less for him than he did in bringing him to the truth by prayer. Contemplation. Contemplate the miraculous healing of the blind man and dumb man. Matthew 12:22. How the Lord healed the man who was blind and dumb. How the Lord can instantly heal even my soul, blind and dumb, because of my remoteness from Christ, only if I bring my soul to Him. Homily on the Master and the Slave. He who spared the rod hated his son, but he who loveth him taketh care to chastise him. Proverbs 13:24. God's love for man transcends the love of man for man as the heaven transcends the earth. And yet the man-loving God chastises man. God chastises man not in order to destroy man, but to correct and save them. O blessed chastisement, which emanates from love, for whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Hebrews 12:6. With what does God chastise? With a rod. What kind of rod? The rod of sickness, the rod of misfortune, the rod of loss, the rod of hunger, the rod of crop failure, the rod of drought, the rod of floods, the rod of the death of relatives and friends, and the rod of evil demons when he permits them authority over men. These are the rods of God by which God chastises his children in order that he may correct them, bring them back to their senses, enlighten them, and save them. Why should the parents not chastise his children if he truly loves them? The rod is a tool of great love and concern. If a child is not sensitive to spiritual chastisement, he is sensitive to the rod. The more sensitive a child is to the spirit and conscience, the more sensitive he is to the body. The body was not given to man in order that it have meaning by itself. Rather, the body is to be a servant of the spirit, to help the spirit and benefit the spirit. If corporeal punishment awakens the spirit in man, and the spirit awakens the conscience, then the body has completely fulfilled its duty toward the spirit, its master. If the master is asleep, then the servants are struck in order to arouse the master. If the servants awaken their master in the hour of danger, they will not lament the blows that they have received, for they have saved their master. And the awakened and saved master will know how to repay his servants. Hence in truth, he who spared the rod hated his son. Whosoever spares the servant betrays the master. O all-wise Lord, open the hearts of parents, that they may receive this holy instruction of thine. To thee be glory and praise forever. Amen.
Amen.